groups, they fund the rebel groups, they fund wars, they send ammunition for these rebel groups to defeat legitimate sovereignty of the people. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so we are dealing with the same game of white supremacy on a different level. I think we have to take into account that these people are murderers, they are killers, like they always have been. It just so happened Gary Webb was one of theirs, and he didn't know. He kind of just getting he's so blinded by his white privilege. He bad.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
getting a chance to know how sick the game really is.
Yeah.
So he really stumbling into it like a dummy. When we, but if it would have been somebody like me, I would already knew how these boys roll. You know what I'm saying? How they defeated in Grenada, Maurice Bishop. You know what I'm saying? And all of these in Grenada in particular, because Grenada was a English speaking without 95% black nation. If they don't want any of those nations to succeed because that will change the way that we view ourselves as a nation.
Yep.
So we have to look at ourselves a little bit better as a nation as well, and that includes the the rise of a black army, militia, etc.
Great points, man. Great points.
All right, so I guess it's my Tara was there, but I don't know where she went. Um, okay, so I of course thought it was an absolutely wonderful movie, eye opening. Like Sister Fabu and Sister Veronica, I was reminded, although I think about it often, the level of evil that we're dealing with. We have to be serious with ourselves as relates to what we're up against, which is what Brother Michael was just talking about. We have to understand that they are not playing with us. This is not a game. They are hell bent on taking and maintaining and keeping their power, and they are going to do whatever they need to do to make that a reality. So if this is going to work for us, we have to have the same level of motivation to be free. And we have to understand, to make that a reality, we have to be willing to put what matters most on the line, which is our lives. I was reminded, as I was talking to Brother Craig earlier, of all the pseudo solutions that our people are being provided, and the amount of time that we're wasting on things that will never work and things that don't matter. And God knows we don't have a bunch of time to waste. So everything that we do needs to be must be about building power. And if that's not what the ultimate goal is, then we don't need to be wasting time doing it. Also, like Brother Michael said, they didn't go into detail about the impact of crack cocaine on the black community. And it wasn't just South Central. It was major black cities around the country were affected by the crack cocaine epidemic of the 80s. And it decimated and destroyed many communities, hundreds, thousands of families, and we're still reeling from the effects of it. We got to understand, like again, Brother Mike said, and Sister Fabu, the game hasn't changed. Their tactics are the same. And I don't fault them for being white. They are who they are. I fault us for not getting hip to the game and doing something different so that we're not always in this position of losing. So, of course, overall, I thought it was a great movie, a good selection, and I liked it.
Good go. Good go. All right. All right. So we're gonna now go ahead and get into this thing. This is again powerful film, and always, as I discuss movies, the first minute to 2 minutes of the film is critical. So within the first 2 minutes of the film, what is the most important thing that jumped out to you guys within the first 2 minutes of the film?
What jumped out to me, and I was smiling because I'm learning how you assess movies. So I'm paying attention to the beginning because I know that you said the first 2 minutes of any movie lays it out. It sets it up. So
Exactly.
so what was interesting to me, and of course I already knew this. I read the book a long time when I was in the military a long time ago. But what jumped out was all of this stuff was led by politics. The
Yep.
politicians were talking about the drugs and it destroying the community and it
Yep.
destroying our children, and that political fervor that was coming from the top down fueled everything else. So that is what jumped out to me most, and that's what they do. They find a scapegoat or they find an issue. They demonize it. They get public support, and then they do what they do.
Yep.
Yeah. So that is what jumped out to me within the first 2 minutes.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm like Brother Tamani. That's what jumped out at me was because I was like, why are they telling us all these political figures are come just rolling across the screen before the movie even starts? All of the presidents and all of this is just, and then they're talking about Nicaragua, and you say, what? I mean, okay, what this? I mean, to me, it perked my interest because I said, this fiction to be really about what the truth is, because of all the political stuff, and then telling you where it was taking place and showing you all the bombings and just all that stuff that was going on in, like you said, the first 2 minutes.
Exactly. Anybody else?
I would say that whoever has control of the media or anything of that sort controls the narrative. And the narrative can be true or false, but it's always based on the agenda at hand.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. So within the first 2 minutes, and definitely Tamani and Sister Fabu were right on point about the political aspect, and this is very critical because I saw a video from last weekend's Foundational Black Conference in Atlanta. and I gotta tell you, man, I love most of my African descendant brothers and sisters, most, not all, for goddamn sure. But most of them I love. But man, we got some people who are pretending like they know what this game is and they don't have a clue. And one of them is Risa Islam, who is with the Nation of Islam. And he specifically said, forget politics. And they started out the movie with the federal level of politics, and they did something very important to let you know this, what you're about to see goes all the way up to the White House, not just the Congress, not just the agencies, the intelligence agencies, but all the way up to the White House. They made this very clear in the film. And they started with Tricky Dicky, Richard Nixon, okay, who was already involved in his scandal that we know called Watergate. And so they let it be known through President Richard Nixon, through President, and he's a Republican, through President Gerald Ford, Republican, through President Jimmy Carter, Democrat, through President Ronald Reagan, Republican. They let it be known that all of them had the same hustle and agenda, which was the illusion called the war on drugs. And they made it a very big point to bring that out within the first minute of the film. So that was very, very important. When you go back and you look at that, definitely focus on it. Okay, so what was the number one TV commercial during the 80s that ties in to the first couple of minutes, and it was also briefly touched in the first couple of minutes. What was the #1 TV commercial that ties into the war on drugs back in the 80s?
Just say no.
Okay,
This,
just say
yep.
no. All right.
This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
The egg.
Wasn't that a part of Just Say No? Wasn't that a part of it?
Exactly. It was the egg
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was a part of it.
Yeah, well, they had one say, just say no, but the egg one, that was very vivid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
know?
I remember. Look, that's the first thing I thought of as a kid. This is your
Yeah,
brain, and this is your brain on drugs. Crack the egg.
exactly, exactly. And what's so interesting about that, what did they have to do to put the egg in the pan, Brother Mike?
Oh.
Practice.
Oh,
They
there you
had to
go.
crack
There
it.
you go.
They had to crack it. And so that was a very important metaphor to tie
Absolutely.
into crack. Okay?
It did.
So they're saying that the egg is your brain,
Brain.
and then your brain is getting cracked open, by the drug, like an egg, and now it's being fried, with the drugs. So Nancy Reagan pushed that whole agenda. I thought that was very, and all this was in the first 2 minutes, which sets
Right.
up everything about the film. I really love the fact that they, oh yeah, exactly. Sister Fabu said the melanated grassroots Negroes. Yeah, yo man, it's devastating. I really like the fact that they also connected the drugs, the war on drugs, to the political fight, and this is where Brother Tamani was coming in for the illusion, and Brother Mike mentioned this as well, to the illusion of democracy against what?
Communism.
Communism. Now, all of these years later, it's democracy against what? Socialism.
Socialism. Yep.
Now, if you ask anybody, what the hell is the actual, see, because they don't really want to tell you the system that controls our politics. They create the illusion that it's so-called democracy.
Yeah.
But that's not what it is.
At all.
It's capitalism. So you don't never hear them say capitalism versus communism or capitalism versus socialism. They say democracy versus communism or democracy versus socialism. But no matter what system you're talking about, the people who look like us, we're always going to be on the bottom of any of those systems. But they made sure in the movie to connect the war on drugs to the fight for democracy. And Ronald Reagan, in the few clips they had on him, he really hit that point home. Now, how many of you are familiar with the time frame of the war that was going on in Nicaragua? How many of you are familiar with what was going on at that time?
I am.
I'm familiar with the war and what was happening. I'm not sure about the time frame part. That's scary, but I don't know. Maybe.
What between you and Sister Fabu, give me just a brief overview of what you all remember about the Nicaraguan conflict or war, civil war that was going on at that time.
The Sandinistas wanted to be free. They wanted to free themselves of the current political regime. The Contras were of course, to us, marketed as freedom fighters, but they were for the political apparatus of the time. The Reagan administration wanted to support them. Couldn't get funding from Congress, so he and his people come up with the idea to sell crack cocaine to colored folk. But that is what I remember about what was happening in South America at that time as it relates to those two groups.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
I'm
sister.
pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page with him. But at that time, I was hooked up with Shape Community Center, who at that point was really activists and advocacy people. Right now, they're doing good deeds, and we would have meetings, and they would show us what the Panthers were saying. So I would get a lot of my information through how the Panthers was viewing it when the war really started in South Central California, and they were talking about how they were flooding, how they were supporting the Sandinistas with the guns and the drugs. So a lot of that I got through the organization that I was attached to at that time.
Brother
And
Craig,
it
I
just
like
made me aware of the fact that, and of course they would tell us, really how things worked with the immigration laws when people actually got here.
Okay,
So,
Brother Mike.
Yeah, I'd like to throw some input as far as during the time frame, and then they even said this in the movie too. But we got to remember that Cuba with Fidel Castro,
Yep.
he actually defeated the CIA did the same thing
Yep.
with Cuba and in the Bay of Pigs, but Fidel Castro, who was who pretty much mastered the technique of guerrilla warfare, he defeated the CIA, and they were victorious on that end. And so all throughout the movie, they kept saying, to prevent another little Cuba, they got.
Yeah.
So here we are. We got control over the mineral resources and everything in this area, just like white supremacy intended to go. And so simultaneously, that was just one war in Nicaragua, and it was going on all around the Caribbean, all around,
all around,
and even Grenada, who far away, and they was really scared of Grenada because that was a 95% black population. The black people in America can't see the people in Grenada succeed. They just can't. And so, because it'll do too much for us. So, that was what it was all about, and it was just unfortunate that man, it was just unfortunate that they sacrificed. I don't know, not one black family that wasn't affected by crack, not one, in some form or fashion. And people don't understand how devastating that was,
Yeah,
so,
and still is.
And still is.
And Mike, you bring up such great points, and this is some homework that everybody needs to focus on in terms of studying Cuba and the Bay of Pigs, and studying Nicaragua and Daniel Ortega and his leadership, because they needed to neutralize him just like they tried to neutralize Fidel Castro. And I don't think we've done I don't think we did Godfather Part 2 as a part of our movie review yet, but you all need to watch Godfather Part 2, because that gets into exactly what Mike just got through talking about in terms of the collaboration between the Italian mafia, the pseudo-Jewish mafia, and the American government to set up shop in Cuba. And Fidel Castro fucked their whole game plan up by defeating the Batista regime. So the white Cubans who fled Cuba and came to Miami, those entities have a different political agenda than what Castro had. But again, all of this gets down to what? Governmental politics. So when Reza Islam says, or any other retarded Negro says that politics, just forget about that, just give us land and money. these people are letting you know that they are retarded. If you're not talking about controlling the politics of the land that you desire to control, you'll never have control of that land because you don't just exist in an isolated area. And what Cuba is showing you, even when you're not connected to a contiguous landmass like South America, Central America, North America, you can drive, okay? You can drive from the top of North America all the way down to goddamn South America, okay? You can drive a car. You don't have to get on a ship. You don't have to get on a plane. So when you can drive, you can kind of see the United States wanting to call shots throughout Central and South America. But Cuba is a little island in the goddamn ocean. Why you want to mess with them? Because they can. And imperialism says, God damn it, we can do it, and we are going to do it. So y'all need to make sure that you all study not only domestic politics, but also foreign politics. Because what is foreign to America is actually local politics in Cuba, in Nicaragua, in Grenada, and you already know they did the pimp game. See, all of this connects to the dope that was being sold in Panama. Remember?
Yep.
Yeah, y'all remember the Panama dope trafficking?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yep.
and they were doing this through the military and through the political infrastructure of all of those countries, and the United States masterminded that whole deal. And then when and in Panama, you know, it was Noriega, right?
Right.
And so they did the same thing, like Mike is saying, in each one of these countries, that all of those people who are perceptively in power, they look like us. But the issue is none of those people who look like us were operating from a spiritual, cultural, educational, economic, social, and political standpoint for their grassroots community. And that's what the whole BGN game plan is about, establishing grassroots leadership for our people in key areas of the United States, in Central America, South America, the Caribbean, Africa, and anywhere we're actually at. So that's very important. So all of this happened within just the first goddamn 2 minutes of the film. Now, we now jump into the movie, and the movie begins, of course, focusing on what? Gary Webb's family life. And this is very important to what Sister Fabu is talking about. If you're trying to be, and I want everybody on this call to understand this. If you're trying to be a regular person, and I think Mary hit on this, you know, white picket fence, 2.7 children, a goddamn dog, you know, a damn Volvo station wagon. If you try to do that, I suggest don't try to do this. Don't try to do grassroots empowerment work. Just pay your dues, send us some money, and be behind the scenes. Because if you step out here in this arena to start exposing, uncovering, and exposing the truth, you got to ask yourself, are you willing to die? Are you willing to pay the ultimate price? Are you willing to have your children die? Are you willing to have your wife or your parents to die? Okay. Are y'all familiar with the fact that we focus a lot on Martin Luther King's assassination? Y'all do know that Martin Luther King's grandmother was taken out.
Yep.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
At church, wasn't she?
yeah. This for real now. This ain't no joke now. So you got to ask yourself that question. I don't try to say this to scare people, but Martin Luther King said something very important. He said, a man who is not willing to die for something is not fit to live. So you got to ask yourself, because you're going to die anyway.
Word.
The question is, what are you willing to die for?
That's right.
And that's how I got in this total game. I've been in it indirectly for over 30 years, but when I really got in it for real, 25 years ago, and I made the decision that I was going to leave my pharmaceutical sales rep job and 70-something thousand bucks and whatnot, I ran across that Martin Luther King quote. And I asked myself, what am I willing to die for? I said, because I see Negroes dying for tennis shoes, money, punani, status, material, what am I willing to die for? And that's when I made the decision that I was willing to die for the same thing that my freedom fighting ancestors were willing to die for, the liberation, the empowerment, and the advancement of our people. Gary Webb had not answered that question, as he didn't even know. And that gets to what Mike said, his white privilege. He thought he was just going to write a goddamn article and everything was going to, I just want the truth to come out. But truth has consequences, and you have to be willing to roll. So in the movie, it starts with his family, and then he gets a call. Who does he get the call from?
That woman.
What woman?
The girlfriend of, who was he? The girlfriend of the main supplier of the cocaine to Freeway Rick Ross.
No, she wasn't the girlfriend of the main guy. The main guy was Danilo Blandon. She wasn't the girlfriend of him. She was the girlfriend of Ralphie, who was an associate.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Of Danielle Blandon. Now, why is that important? Because she had to figure out how to get him, her boyfriend, off of his case. Mm-hmm. So what did they figure out? What did her and her boyfriend figure out? We got to have somebody who can put pressure
on
the government.
Yep, an independent person.
And who does what, Brother Mike?
Who does fact finding and checks and reporting.
And tells exactly, and who will tell the truth.
Put it out there.
Exactly. So they had vetted him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he felt played.
They vetted him. He didn't know that he was being vetted.
Well,
right.
You know what? Thank you for that, because that went over my head. Because all through the movie, I kept saying, "But how they put her in there? And I knew that there was a tie between her and her boyfriend, but I couldn't understand. Thanks for that. Thanks for clarifying that for me, because I couldn't understand why. What's the motive? Because they always stick whenever they get ready. That's another thing we need to watch. Whenever they come after you, they're gonna put somebody of the opposite gender gonna come in first, and that's
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Our ears should go up the minute that happens. We should go, attention!
but let's get a little bit deeper. Yes, they definitely will come at you from that standpoint, but they really tell you in the movie why she was in the mix.
Okay, tell me.
And she was in the mix based on them vetting him thoroughly. And in the movie, you find out what? They moved to California. Why? Because he had had an affair back in Cleveland.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
So they knew his capacity for weakness for Punani. They knew he was weak for that Punani. So now, boom, we're gonna go at him that way.
Okay, and then that explains why she was all up on him, kissing on him.
Exactly.
And I'm going like, well, why she gotta do all that just to give him the papers? You know, just give him the papers and back up. And I said, wait a minute,
they had vetted him.
with this. And
They
that's
had
why
vetted
they
him.
came back when they started to discredit and dismiss him.
Exactly.
And brought that and his poor wife, bless her little heart.
Exactly. They had vetted him. See, the dope dealers had vetted him, and then the government, who didn't know who he was at the time, ultimately, once he got on the radar screen, they end up vetting him. Which brings me to my next point. If you get in this game, and I tell Negroes this all the time, who say they want to be like Craig, and I be trying to tell them, no, you don't.
Yeah, you don't want this.
Because if you want this smoke, you better not be on no drugs. You better not have no. You better not be no homo. You better not be have no criminal issues. You better not have no vices. You better not have no vices now. Cause trust me, they gonna find your weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not gangster, if you're not a righteous gangster, that's why I use the term intellectual gangster. I'm not just using that term just because. I've been tried in the fire. And most people who believe that they ready to do this, they not prepared, man. They not prepared. Yeah, they're not prepared. Because Gary Webb for goddamn show wasn't prepared. And his ass was a damn reporter. Okay? So that's a very important part of the film once the girlfriend is introduced, because they're playing to his lower nature that they already know about. Okay? They're playing to that. And so she introduces him, gives him the most vital piece of information, and at that time he really doesn't know what he has. So of course he comes to the initial court, and they do that initial little thing, and then she points out the CIA agent for the government, or he works for the Justice Department. And so from that standpoint, she points that cat out, and that cat is the one that's about to make Gary Webb's life a living hell. But see, again, Gary Webb is just operating as in his professional capacity as a journalist, a very good journalist. As Mike said, a fact-finding, investigative journalist. He wasn't no goddamn any of these superficial people who comes on TV right now. He was going for the actual story. Okay? And so why did they need him to investigate? Because they knew if he put pressure on and finding out about Blandon, that's now going to force the hand of the government to do what? Let her do go.
Right.
So the second time,
that reality, Brother Craig, reminds me of the importance of intelligence and the importance of doing your due diligence. Because when I watch these movies, man, it's always somebody else doing intel on us. Well, shit, why can't we do intel on somebody else? So when they play their card, shit, nigga, I'm gonna play mine.
Exactly. Exactly.
You gotta have it.
And I'm so glad you brought that point out, because the number one thing that most Negroes focus on is getting a goddamn gun.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to have, and that's why I had us look at the movie Spook That Sat by the Door, you gotta have intel. That's why I had y'all look at the movie Spook That Sat by the Door. You gotta have intelligence. See, the CIA is an intelligence gathering organization. The FBI, intelligence. NSA, intelligence. Now they got guns and they got cannons, but the number one thing is technology intelligence, because they need to find out what your draw size is.
Human intel.
They need to find out what your shoe size is.
That's right.
They need to find out who you had sex with the first time.
That's right.
This is the game. And so before they go to trial the second time, what now happens? Before they go to trial the second time, when everything really starts to kick into high gear, what now happens between the second trial and the first trial and the connection with the girlfriend? What now happens? Anybody remember? This is where he now learns about who? Freeway Rick Ross.
Yeah.
He learns about Freeway Rick Ross by doing what? Research, study, and analysis of the documentation in the top secret document report that he had. So he took the top secret report, and now he starts to do research on Freeway Rick Ross and all these other people. So now he goes to the law office to meet with the lawyer. Freeway Rick lawyer is blind to the fact that Danielle Blandon, Danilo Blandon, is working for who?
Government.
So he said, "Nah, bro, you got that wrong. See, look here.
He's on our side.
See, bro, you don't even understand. See, if Blandon is gonna testify, he gonna testify for my client, because see, they partners. And when Gary Webb produces the report for the lawyer, now it's like, God damn.
Yeah.
Every time I've been asking for the information, they don't never give me nothing. And so the creator made this happen, where now this report was given unknowingly. And this is how Gary Webb starts to tap in. And so now what does he do? This is where you really find out how diabolical the deal is. He goes to see Freeway Rick Ross in jail. And so what does Freeway Rick Ross tell him? How many keys per week was he selling? How many keys?
Was it 100?
100 keys per week, goddamn.
It was a lot.
Okay. And how much money did he say he was making per day?
300 million or 300, it was way up there, trillion, 300
Well,
million a day,
well,
100
per,
million.
per day, it was 3 million per day,
Yeah.
which comes out to be over the year over $300 million. Okay. I mean, this the kind of money. Look, he says he was making $3 million per day, and he gave. Oh boy! Now I want y'all to think about this. Now they don't take breaks in the drug game. Now ain't no holiday now. Y'all do understand that, right?
Yep.
Mhm,
So this 7 days a week. Follow me now. So let's see if y'all can do math. If they doing 3 million a day, how much is that per week?
21 million.
21
All
million.
right. And so what was their return on investment? What was their gross net?
I don't know. We don't know what they put into it. How we gonna know that?
Yeah, we do, because he tell you how much he gave our boy each week.
Oh yeah. But I don't remember. It
He
was just
gave our boy
bounty
$6 million a week.
a week.
So the gross net was $15 million a week.
And which is why they would do anything, they would by any means necessary
Yes,
protect
ma'am.
that.
That's
By
right.
Exactly.
any means
By
necessary.
it,
You got
they
to
would.
go.
Look here, bro. They'll kill your mama. They'll kill your baby. They mean that.
Yep.
That's how serious it is. Y'all need to really understand how all of this connects. And here's another homework assignment for you all. Y'all need to get on YouTube, and you all need to really study the major drug dealers in the country from our community. They got documentaries on all of them. Freeway Rick Ross, Harry O. Do y'all know who started Death Row Records?
Well, Suge Knight, wasn't it?
No, sir. No,
No, I don't know.
It's one of the most brilliant business-minded brothers in the world. His name, they call him Harry O. Write that down.
Oh, yeah.
Harry O.
I know that name. Yeah.
And go do your research on Harry O. Cause guess who Harry O. Was connected with in Houston?
Damn, what's that brother's name?
Jay Prince.
Jay Prince. I had a few meetings with him.
Jay Prince. So now let me mess y'all's mind up. Who else was featured who looks like us throughout the film in various clips? And it's a hint. That person is a congressperson to this day.
Maxine Waters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what is the connection between Maxine Waters and Jay Prince?
I ain't never knew that.
Maxine Waters' husband, Sidney, guess where he's from, Brother Mike?
Houston.
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Ooh.
Guess where Jay Prince is from, Brother Mike? Shreveport, Mansfield, Louisiana. They're cousins.
Dang.
Why you think Jay Prince don't never go to jail?
Yeah, I know he got an army with him.
A serious army, brother. Okay?
I do know that.
So Jay Prince has congressional connections.
I always wondered why Jay Prince. We used to say Jay Prince can't be touched. He almost on the president level.
He is, and he ain't dumb like Suge Knight, Harry O. He and Harry O. When you look at the politics of it, you're gonna see how all this connects. Now you say, well, Craig, you're deviating from the film. No, sir. I'm connecting the dots so you can understand how all of the dope money then is filtered in to legitimate enterprises. So that's how this thing works. And Freeway Rick Ross was connected with Harry O. when Harry O. first started Death Row Records. Suge Knight comes in because he was getting ready to go to jail, and they had to turn over the business to someone. That's how Suge Knight came involved. But y'all need to really study all of these guys because the government allowed them to do what they were doing.
Right. Which also highlights, Brother Craig, highlights the reality of our need for hitters who understand what it's all about. Because when we start to do what needs to be done in our communities, there's gonna be some pushback, and they're gonna look a lot like us.
Exactly. I mean, what y'all think this is? You think you're gonna now talk spirituality and culture, which means they gotta now get their ends reduced, and you think it ain't gonna be No pushback from them.
Yes, sir.
And they ain't coming to have no prayer meeting with you. It's gonna be a bear meeting. Okay?
Click clack.
So in the second, I'm spending a lot of time on this because this is the main part of the movie. Everything else flows, but within the first 15, 20 minutes of the film, you get everything. So now they go to court the second time. And Gary is a little late coming in, and he says, you know, what have I missed? What's going on? So she says, I don't know. They've been up there for a while. So all of a sudden, what happens?
Case dismissed.
The shit is dismissed. And then so he asked the girlfriend, I mean, what just happened? He said, Blandon, there's no Blandon. And since there's no Blandon, Ralphie gets out.
Right, you got no case.
Mm-hmm.
You got no case. So so she leaves, goes out in the hall, and says, you played me. And so she smiles, but she said, bruh, this is one of the greatest lines in the movie. She said, she says, I gave you no, you thought you had the cheese.
I gave you the mouse.
I gave you the mouse.
Right.
He still didn't know what that meant at that time.
Yep.
And let me go back to Rick Ross, because Rick Ross said something. He said, oh man, his line was even greater than that. He said, I was just the elf.
That motherfucker was Santa Claus. Yes,
sir. Blandon was Santa Claus.
That's right.
Okay. Now, another point that y'all need to focus on in the first time they went to court, and when he went to the bathroom with the government agent, he asked him about Blandon, and the justice agent says, who you talk about?
Right.
I don't know what you talk about.
Right.
Cause the number one thing you got to be able to do in the intelligence game, guess what it is?
Deny
and lie.
I don't know nothing.
I don't know nothing. Okay. So that's very important. That we understand that. Another very important point, I said, Gary told the CIA agent that he got his grand jury transcript for Blandon, and the CIA agent was amazed. And this is what brought me to something that people say. There's a bit of wisdom that people say. They'll say, information is power.
It is not.
Okay, so tell me why information is not power.
Because information is just information if you don't use it.
Okay, that's true. Anybody else? Can you expand on the information is power?
Belief.
All right.
Information is powerful if you get it in the right, you use it, and it can be used to your advantage.
That's true. So information can yield power.
Yep.
Okay. But what is more powerful, more potent, and more necessary than information?
Knowledge.
Power.
You gotta have, I'm gonna say knowledge and understanding.
And then I agree with him. I agree with him because you gotta have enough political unity, organization, and you gotta think of yourself as a player in the game in order for your information to be useful for a particular for your benefit. But if you ain't got no agenda, you ain't got nothing.
It's true, but it's something that comes before all of that, and knowledge can't come until you first get information and wisdom. So there's something that is more potent, more powerful, and more necessary than information, and it's the precursor to knowledge and the precursor to power. What is that? And the movie lays it out. It's the central part of the movie.
The connect.
No. I don't know.
Well, Mike kind of hit on it, but expound on the connect as it relates to information.
You gotta have the right people. You gotta be in the right position.
Oh, you're in the ballpark. But it's one word. It's one word. Access. Access.
Yeah.
So you gotta have the access to the information. Gary Webb would have, no matter how great of a journalist he was, the film is about access to information.
Yeah.
The only reason that Gary Webb was set on the path is because he was given access to that top secret document.
Right.
Yep.
Then he was given.
And that's really true in everyday life. That's why they say the mail boy or the mailman down in the mailroom department in a corporation has the access to all the company's information. And that's why they usually try to get those people on board. If you go back to some of those.
Come on. Look, it's so funny, Sister Fabu, that you bring that up. One of the tactical maneuvers that ain't never figured out, and all of these people, this why I had y'all look at Spook that sat by the door. When we got money, when we got money, the number one target for us ain't the CEO of a company. It ain't the CFO of a company. Guess who it's gonna be? The receptionist
or his secretary.
And the secretary.
Because I was a secretary once, and I was to one of the presidents in the department, and it wasn't no such thing as no mail coming across that desk called confidential. Because you might be talking about me.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Okay. That is where this is at. Access to information, and this is played throughout the entire film, because why? What were his editors constantly asking him for? Who are your what?
Oh, your sources.
So now you gotta see, because that yields you access, so-called credible access to what? Information. So always remember that although information can yield power, you need access to the information. Because without the access to the information, you can never get the information. Therefore, you can never understand what you don't have. Therefore, you can never have knowledge. Therefore, you can never leverage power. Everybody understand?
Yep.
Yeah, but Brother Craig, after he got the access, they just pretty much distorted everything that he had. You know, they took it and said, no, that's not true.
Oh, exactly. But that's all because he did not have an understanding as to what the hell he was involved in. That's number one. Number two, he didn't have an organization to shield him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he damn sure didn't know that this was a war. And I go back to something that Brother Mike said, which is brilliant assessment. His white privilege made him be very, very, very arrogant about the process. And he just kind of wrote that off, although he was given little nuggets. So what you're saying is absolutely correct. But he didn't know, he didn't take serious, even when he was given warnings.
Right.
He didn't take it serious. Okay? So again, the girlfriend said, You thought you were getting a piece of cheese with the report and the access to Blandon. See, the piece of cheese was Ralphie, her boyfriend. But she said, I just gave you the mouse. So the charges were dismissed, and Gary is now like, okay, I'm feeling this. So he says, I'm feeling this.
So you want me to do a phone sale? You want me to do
Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second.
You want me to do self checkout? How you want me to do it?
Do a self checkout.
So just
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to come in there. All right, cool. All right. Okay, yeah. So needless to say, the thing that hit me also about this is the importance of research, study, analysis, and the WH formula. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. So when I saw him putting everything together, when I go in the paint on the city or the parish or whatever I'm doing, you got to research all the material, study it, analyze it, and you got to ask yourself who, what, when, where, why, how. Who, what, when, where, why, how. On every little detail. And that's how you do investigative journalism. And we got to implement those same concepts into everything that we do. Okay? All right, so Blandon on the stand, because Gary Webb needed to find out more information. So Gary Webb got Rick Ross's lawyer to make sure that Blandon would be on the witness stand in Rick Ross's trial. And y'all really need to go, again, pull up the documentaries on Rick Ross in his own words. And Rick Ross tells you how all of this ties in. Okay? But Blandon let it be known. He was giving the government $1.5 billion a year. 1.5 billion.
With a B.
Now that's what he was giving the government. That's not what he made. Okay? So we need to really understand the economics behind this. Okay? Now we get into the politics of the newsroom. What did you all think about that?
And Brother Craig, can I say something right before the newsroom?
Yeah.
And then you gotta also think about what, like, they was giving these billions of dollars, but for what cause? And that was for the purchase of guns.
Exactly, the destabilization.
In this war. And then you got to take it one step further, and then you got to think about, okay, who is the manufacturer of these guns, and who is the people that are creating, who this money is going to, and you got to look at that family, and you got to see what ties they have with the government and politics and all of that. So it just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Exactly. So let me go on and rush through the rest of it because it's a lot to it. But within the newsroom, you know, hey, at first it was copacetic, you know, great story. But he now gets turned on to the business partner of Blandon, who is Manassas. He's in the prison down in Central America. So he goes down there. He lets it be known, hey, I sold drugs for the United States. Okay, he let it be known that this is how the United States helped to fund not only what was going on in Nicaragua, but also in Panama, Iran, and he tied the dots in about Oliver North involvement into the mix. What did you all think about all of that when they were hitting on that part? What's y'all take on that?
I think it's what brother Mike just said. It simply highlights how interwoven and interconnected all this stuff is, the levels of evil, what they will do to get what they want. I think it just highlights all of that.
And then, and in addition, like the brother Chuck was saying, it also lets you understand the contrast of what they say and what they actually do.
There you go, brother.
Exactly.
There you go, brother.
And I think that's why Manassas told Weber, your country is no longer a friend of mine.
That's right.
It was that no longer.
What now? What it was something else powerful that Manasseh said. That was another, and it gets to the point that my wonderful sister was talking about in terms of his news agency putting the brakes on him. What else did Manasseh tell him and it was profound, and Gary still didn't get it. What did he tell him?
What you mean when he asked him, what are you gonna do with the information? Now what you gonna do, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. The most important question he turned it. What you gonna do with it now that you got it?
He said, now you know the truth. You will be faced with the greatest decision of your life.
Yes, indeed.
And Gary asked him, what is that? And Manasseh replied, whether to share it.
Hey, there you go. What you gonna do with it?
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh,
Right.
That's big. It's big right there. That was a bomb.
That was the
And
bomb,
then,
brother.
look.
That was the bomb.
And it's a reason why I'm in here in jail playing golf, nigga. I got this knowledge.
Me, this is Jeffrey over
I'm on a whole nother level. I'm in jail playing golf.
Hey, maybe the chef over
Exactly.
I told her I was gonna put on my corn.
Anybody else with an understanding of that?
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Yeah. It was amazing to me how I mean, look at him in his position. He in jail playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. I know how this goes. He just now finding out how this goes. Everybody else around him really smart on a political level.
What's his name, man?
They understand the game.
And you know, brother Mike, he could have been in that prison for security and protection. That's what I was thinking. Because if you go in prison and you take over the yard because you want to play golf, that means you got power.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that he was there not because he was an inmate, but to be protected from other stuff. I guarantee you he wasn't living like the other prisoners.
And I agree with you on that, Brother Tom, because that was the first thing that hit my mind when the two of them got ready to talk, how the yard just cleared out.
That's right.
Nobody didn't say nothing. It was like they knew to clear out the yard because he was fixing to have a conversation.
Time to go. That's right.
With no words said.
Yeah, that's right. He just grabbed his golf club and walked out, and everybody knew.
And that's power.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Dang, bro.
Brother Craig? You must be tired up.
Hold on. No, I'm here. I didn't want y'all to hear all that stuff. Okay, great discussion.
I want to say one thing. That was one thing that I don't remember who said it to him that I thought was very, very important. I think it was that guy that played John Cohen when he started talking about, when he came to him in that room and he started telling him about human nature and power. And he said that, you are attracted to the power.
That's
then
right.
you become addicted to the power.
That's right.
How long did you get devoured
and then you get destroyed
by that
power. That's right.
If you're not careful, man, that's where that spirituality comes in, so you know what the hell you're doing when you step out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Sister Fabu, and I had that written down in here because that part is very, very important, in terms of the power aspect. And without spirituality, that's definitely what happens. Another part that Gary Webb asked Manassas about was about the drugs. And this is very profound because Manassas tried to come off as caring about the country rebels. And Gary called his hand on it and he said, man, your ass been doing shit since the 70s.
Right, you don't care about the people.
You don't care. He said, you ain't no damn freedom fighter.
That's right.
Okay? He let that be known. So now they talk about the drugs and he says the drugs, the ends justify the means. He said, in America, y'all don't want coconuts or bananas, y'all want cocaine. And I know where to get the cocaine.
Right. That's right.
That was very, very profound.
Brother Craig, is that the point where he told him this is not about drugs, it's about the guns? Y'all are trading drugs for guns? I mean, we're trading drugs for guns?
Well, it was all within the context of that.
Okay.
But he said that before he told Gary, now that you know the truth, because all of this is now been stated. That's when he said, now that you know the truth, you'll be faced with the greatest decision. He told him right there, this is going to be the greatest decision of your life. And when Gary asked him, what is it? And he said, whether to share it, Gary, in his white privilege, chuckled. He chuckled. He chuckled. He thought that was funny. And when Mike just referenced the white privilege, I thought that was absolutely profound because that was exactly what transpired in that particular scene. And then Manassas asked him one last thing. What was that?
I don't remember.
If he had a family.
Going back to, if he had what? Because I'm going back
If
to
he had a family.
A family.
Yes.
And what did the movie start with?
Family. and I think they did that family part in the beginning because they want us to see what his life was like.
Yeah.
because it was not going to end that way.
Exactly. And this is a price that he really didn't understand that he would have to pay. So now he gets the information about Fred Wheel, who used to work for he got back into the CIA, but Manassas pointed him in that direction. So he goes to DC, and Fred Wheel told him, this is the second clue. You have no idea what you're getting into. And he told him that information that you have in that report, he says, fancy and dangerous. That was profound. So Fred Wheel was trying to let him know some things. And Fred Wheel told him when they went out to sit down in Washington, he said, some stories are too true to tell. He told him that. Yep. And so now we get to the part where Russell Dobson, the central character for the United States government, he called him on the phone and he said, Gary, this is Russell Dobson. And he knew that Gary was about to print the story. He says, before you print anything, a few guys from Washington would like to have a talk with you. So this is like the third or fourth key. And once they mention, I didn't do nothing to your children yet, that's when he got it in his head, the story is going to be printed. And so they went ahead with the story. Do y'all remember what the story is called? What was the title of the article?
Dark Alliance.
What else?
Oh, is it the CIA?
So was that the crack?
Yeah.
The Cocaine Impact Agency.
Yeah. Yes.
Import.
Dark Alliance, the story behind the crack explosion.
Mhm.
And so now, once the story came out, what now starts to happen?
The story then becomes about Gary Webb.
So what do we now call that? What is that called?
They flipped the narrative.
The government has to now do what they call spin.
Spin, right.
Spin, yeah. Okay, spin.
So they have to now deflect from the issue and put it on to Gary, and that's spin.
Yeah.
So now now you learn about the politics of the newsroom, of the major players, and then how it trickles down to the small players.
Right.
So you have the Office of Public Affairs get to work on spinning the whole story.
Right, and that kind of lets you know that in the upper echelons of society, they work together.
Exactly.
You know, and it was kind of it was sad and unfortunate that Gary Webb's editors, the newspaper, didn't do more to back him up and to support him. You know, I wasn't surprised by it, but that was most certainly sad because if the only way he was able to do what he did was with their support from the beginning, so they were on his side when there was no heat. But once that heat came, man, they sold that dude out.
You know what always
Exactly.
amazes me?
So-
It amazes me now that every time something comes on the news or, you know, Trump and the rest of his team, when someone tries to address a major issue that may be going on, they always deflect from it. And everybody gets all
Exactly.
upset and all unraveled and everything. I'm like, why do we keep feeding into the same stuff over and over? Because that's what they do. They're always going to deflect from it.
Exactly. And what is, Veronica, what is the number one term that they use now to deflect automatically?
Fake news.
There you go.
Boom.
Goddamn, Veronica knocked it out the park, goddamn it. That's the number one thing that they say. There are two things that and the white boys came up with a term for this.
Just 1 second.
Right. And the white boys came up with a term for this called thought terminating cliche.
Mm.
So when you hear them say stuff like fake news, conspiracy theory, that's a thought terminating cliche. You see, because they don't want to have to address the issue, so they deflect, like Sister Veronica said. So we really learn about the politics of the press. Now you all understand why it was important for me to define what politics is. So you have to know that politics is not just about government. Politics is about, yeah, I'm here. Politics is about agendas. So it's the science and art of leveraging and advancing personal and group agendas, whether it be through the news media, your family, government, business, whatever. Y'all got that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so now the film is coming to a close, and now you see Maxine Waters saying, I'm going to make somebody pay for what they've done to my community and my people. And so the question is, has Maxine Waters ever made anybody pay?
Not as far as I know.
I want to know how.
That's what
I want to know what she meant, and I want to know what would be an appropriate punishment.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. What's that gonna look like? Ms.
Yeah.
Waters.
What does that entail? I'd like to hear the details of this plan.
Okay, so now what have I revealed on this review that would let you know she was bullshit?
Well,
The fact that nothing has happened?
No, I
Her
just told it
family's
to you.
involved.
Huh?
Her family, her
You
husband.
goddamn right, her family's involved.
oh yeah. She got cousins all in the game.
Her husband used to be an ambassador to Jamaica somewhere. He was the ambassador sitting, the one who was from goddamn Shreveport. And so you know you can't go too deep in the dope game if your goddamn cousin-in-law is Jay Prince from Rap-A-Lot Records.
Yeah.
Otherwise, somebody might get exposed. Well.
So now we gonna talk the shit, but we ain't gonna do a goddamn thing, but we gonna talk the shit.
Man, that's an expert, excellent analysis.
And
Okay.
That's a heavy point. That's a heavy
Okay.
point.
We just had a representative just like that, the gentleman that was representing for Breonna Taylor, right?
You goddamn right. See, and I'm glad you brought that up, Veronica, because when you don't understand the political infrastructure and how to connect dots, the crackers can come and play this, not just the Republicans, but the Democrats as well. They can come and play this very easily, and people never figure it out. So when you deal with the Breonna Taylor situation, what happened on the front end to start the whole thing? The damn DA in the county recused himself from the case. That's how Daniel Cameron got the case. But wait a minute, where does Daniel Cameron come from? Daniel Cameron was appointed to the position by who? The former Attorney General, who is now what? The governor. But wait a minute,
Isn't he married into the family?
That's what they're saying, and I gotta believe it, because if you go Google that cracker, you can't find nothing about her on the internet. Nothing. So they are hiding her. Okay? So you gotta be able to connect the dots. Now you say, well, why would a Democrat who was AG, who is now the governor, why would he now appoint a Republican to that seat? Who can tell me that answer?
Say that question again.
Why would the former AG of Kentucky,
appoint a Republican,
now that he's governor, appoint a Republican who is not even qualified to be in the seat? Why would he appoint him as the new AG?
It has to be to get votes or to return a favor.
What favor? What does he need?
He need access. He need to connect.
Okay, he need access. He need to connect with who?
Mitch McConnell, the Senate?
The most powerful motherfucker in the country, Mitch McConnell.
Right.
Why does he need that connect?
Because he runs the Senate, right?
Why does he need to connect?
I don't know.
We're in a pandemic. Motherfucking states ain't got no money. States need money. So you need to connect to get you what?
Money.
So who is calling the shots in the Senate?
Mitch McConnell.
And who is Mitch McConnell's flunky?
Cameron.
Daniel Cameron. You gotta be able to connect the dots, man. And that's what this film shows. So that's a very good thing, Sister Veronica, that you brought out. And so all of this is letting him know. Fred Will told him also, the brother who worked for the government, he told him straight up, I was you once. And Will's like, I was idealistic, goddammit. But shit, when they started tightening them grips on my ass, and my damn wife started talking about leaving my ass because they had fired my ass, I said, shit, you ain't got to worry about me saying nothing else. I want that house, and I want them calls.
And he laid that out when he was having this conversation with him, saying that I have access to the president, I have this connection, I have that connection, and he never would have gotten that if he didn't agree to play ball.
But he had
exactly. Say it again, Mike.
And not only that, but he the whole benefits or the whole reasons why they out there in the first place is so people like him can continue to live this type of lifestyle in the first place. So it fits him.
Exactly.
The objectives, all of that is fits him. So why would he want to get it up?
Exactly. So the whole game, from the local to the state to the national/federal to the international level of public and private sector corporation, meaning government and capitalism, communism, socialism, the whole goddamn thing is a conspiracy.
Right.
And they said it in the goddamn movie. This shit is about conspiracy and lie.
Right.
And I'm just being honest with you. Most people don't have the stomach for this shit. It's too goddamn gangster. So they send their ass to church and they tell them Jesus gonna fucking handle it for you.
Right. Just pay your tithes. Do good deeds, do good work, and it's gonna be all right.
And it's gonna be all right.
That's right. While we continue to get our ass kicked.
Exactly. And Negroes like that shit because in order to free your goddamn self, you gotta be willing to risk your life.
That's right.
And punk ass Negroes are not willing to do it. And that's the only reason that evil flourishes, is because there are more good people than bad people in the world. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you 90% of the damn melanated people on the planet, not crackers, but 90% of melanated people on the planet are good people.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, well, Craig, why does evil flourish? Because good people are punks.
Right. Right.
They're punks.
They want to get involved, yeah.
And so the only time they want to get involved is when some shit happens to their family member or loved one, whatever.
Yep.
That's
it.
And
And not only do they want your help and your support, but after you give it, they're going to shrink back into the darkness, into the shadows.
Exactly.
Yeah. We sick, man.
So that is kill the messenger. It is a metaphor for eliminate the person who is willing to tell the truth against a corrupt entity, whether it is government, corporation, or whatever. And if your ass is just an island by your fucking self, you're gonna always be killed. Cause you gotta have a clique.
Yes, sir.
And y'all gotta and your clique gotta have some hitters.
Yep.
And if your ass ain't got no hitters, you really need to sit your ass on the sideline.
You gonna get hit.
Cause you gonna get hit.
And that killing initially doesn't always mean literally, because
Right.
No, not at all. Of course, yeah. They're gonna come at you in multiple ways. In multiple
Yeah.
ways. That's right. That's
Because
right.
the church, I think about the church because, I'm always seeking truth. And so when you start looking at stuff, you'd be like, that's bullshit, you know, from the pulpit to the way you handle things, the way you let people come and take over your church, and how the white people just came and took over a whole black church in this whole area. And then when you call it to carpet, then they want to outcast you. You know what I'm saying? And then you watch it happen over and over. So you get killed in a sense of, not literally, but in a sense of let us disassociate ourselves with that person.
Yeah.
You know?
A character assassination.
Yeah. Exactly. Sister Fabu, what are the 4 Ds again?
She left. She had another event.
Oh, okay. She said it was to dismiss, discredit, demonize, then destroy.
and that's the playbook.
Dismiss, discredit, demonize, and destroy. Wow. So you're absolutely correct, Sister Veronica. But I will tell you that the 4 Ds, 3 of them are on point. But if your ass got a high level shit that you're going after, then your ass gonna get destroyed, like killed. All right. Any other questions? Any comments?
No
questions. Questions, comments?
I would say I'm not consistent. I'm not always consistent comment, but I learn something every single time. So
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
I guess I do got a comment in some way. It just kind of, in some ways, I just see the seriousness of what they was robbed, of what we was robbed of. Here we are looking at these people dealing in continents, countries, nations, and continents and worlds on that level.
Yeah.
And when I look at us, and I say, okay, you know, where do we fit in? I mean, we got to look at ourselves as a player in this game on a grand level.
I agree.
Otherwise, we just, I mean, we got to get started on the bottom, but we got to think, you know what I'm saying, on a bigger level, man. And I'm just.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. And Brother Mike, that's why I invited you, and I wanted you and Brother Tamani to connect, because you are my Northeast Louisiana mentee, and you're one of the most phenomenal cats that I've met in my 52 years. And I know that we got enough grassroots soldiers in this country to take over key land masses. And I know we got the intellectual capital to build our Wakanda in the cloud. And I know that we can achieve that 20% goal of leveraging our cooperative economic dollars, where we got hundreds of billions of dollars a year that our Black Gold Nation coalition controls. And I know that we can leverage those dollars to then establish physical landmass country of our own in the Caribbean, and also leverage influence and control of some African nations. So when we're talking about a grand scale, I know we got that ability. But we got to understand what the fuck we're dealing with these diabolical motherfucking crackers. Cause they are about that motherfucking life for real.
Hey, for real.
And anybody who think they ain't, you gonna get dealt with.
You gonna learn today.
You gonna learn.
Hey man, you can almost hear it in codes, because they always talk about their patriotism and.
Oh yeah.
And you better not disrespect this right here. We fight and die for this right here.
Oh yeah, they will.
And it don't even matter. It don't even matter if they don't understand how grand the level is that the average person on the lower level.
Exactly.
They control too. So
Exactly.
even those on the lower level that might be ignorant, because a lot of us participate, but we got to be mindful and conscious about how, you know, the propaganda and how those minds have been polluted. And shit, we better know who on whose side, because everybody
Exactly.
on our side ain't gonna look like us.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Which is why that spiritual piece, Brother Mike, and that
Yeah.
right culture and that education, all that has to be done, because we got to vet, because all our skinfolk ain't our kinfolk.
Straight up.
And whatever you catch, damn it, you got to share with everybody, because we a tribe now. So whatever you catch, we're gonna fry it together.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Hey,
say that piece again. Hey, brother Tamani, say that piece. Brother Tamani, say that piece about spirituality again.
I said that is why that spirituality is so critical. That spirituality, that right culture, and that education, because without it, we will not be able to weed out those folks that look like us that ain't us.
Exactly.
Exactly. And brother,
exactly.
And brother Tamani, just know we keep a freezer full over here. And we, you know what I'm saying? So whatever we got access to on this level, sure, you got access to on your level. You know what I'm saying?
Brother, I made the mistake, quote unquote, of watching a documentary called What the Health. So I'm only gonna eat the crack. I'm only gonna eat the corn and the carrots, but you can have the fish. Anyway, I got to boogie to the next thing, man. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Brother Craig? Everybody good?
Yeah.
And,
right, and the last, the last closing remark, I can tell you right now, for the next movie, that it is the companion piece to this, and it came out a couple of years ago. Tamani, you can already get on it. It's called American Made.
American Made.
That's the one with Tom Cruise.
Yes, sir.
And that's the companion piece to this, and that's gonna really drive it home, and you're gonna see Bill Clinton punk ass, and how all of this shit connects with Kill the Messenger, the whole drug thing, and how this roll. And the sacrificial lamb for funding all of this shit was who? Us.
Black people. And you know, isn't it? I find it so ironic. It's like whenever somebody talks about cracking down on anything, dealing with any social ill or whatever, but it's always us that gets targeted for that social stuff. And we always pay the price because everybody sees us as being the bottom.
Exactly.
And then when the same thing happens to them, when they have an epidemic in the opiate crisis, it gets labeled in health issues.
It's a national health crisis. God damn it, it's affecting Becky. We got to deal with this bullshit.
So we see the hypocrisy at work.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly. Let me hit on this real quick. Make sure y'all go back and look in the hotel room scene when the former CIA killer came in to the room. That's powerful.
Yeah.
He said, listen to this, what he said. He said, the people we hunted and murdered.
That's right. Come on.
All they had was a deep desire to reform the government and have free elections.
That's right. That's right. And you can see that, like Brother Mike was saying earlier when he first started talking. All those wars in all these places, all these sovereign nations of people of color, that's all the grassroots wants, to be left alone, to have peaceful and fair elections, and let us deal with our own issues. But of course, America doesn't see it that
way. And so, what is that another example for Brother Tamani?
Killmonger.
All of them goddamn killmonger sovereign nation, mother.
Yes, sir. A pseudo solution.
You are not. So when you hear this shit, as we're discussing this today, and Brother Mike brought this out, as you hear this bullshit, what do we know now that you, and this is for everybody on this call, whenever a Negro talks about sovereignty and all this bullshit, ask them, do they know the truth about Haiti?
Mhm.
Do they know the truth about Grenada? Do they know the truth about Nicaragua, Panama, all these sovereign places, Libya? Do they know the truth?
Right.
Because you ain't running from these crackers, partner.
Yep. Yep. And
They gonna come find you.
And there are no freedom papers. there are no freedom papers that they are going to give you that you can receive for somebody else, or that they are going to respect. You're not going to get some paperwork to be free from white people. If you want to be free, damn, you got to be ready, willing, and able to take it.
And to money, even when the CIA agent gave him the in-depth information, his white privilege and his white dissonance was still so high. Look at what he asked him. Will you go on record?
Hell no, nigga.
and that cracker told him, and that cracker say, and end up dead. No.
I am not the one.
Look, so then he asked him, well, goddamn, why are you here? He say, I'm confessing.
I got to tell somebody this stuff.
Yeah, who else am I going to tell?
And since your ass going to die anyway,
yeah.
Get it off my chest. Hey, man, I got to go. I got to go.
All right, brother. All right, brother.
Okay, so really quickly, I want to thank you guys for being a part. As always, what we do, we're not here to just entertain you. We're not here to just educate you. We want to get your melanated behind involved in something that's going to make a difference in the lives of our people. Everything we do is about bringing our people together so we can identify the right people so that we can move forward. So if you are interested in being involved in something that's going to make the lives of our people better, the lives of our children better, and every generation of Black child to follow, you need to be involved in the Black Nation movement, because that is what we do. With that, always remember two things. No one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely always remember that nothing is more sacred than the liberation and salvation of Black people. If Black people make it, then everybody that we love that looks like us will also make it, because the nation and the people are going to make it. So with that, again, thank you guys very much for being a part. I'll see you in 2 weeks when we do the movie American Made. I posted a trailer of the movie in the chat, so feel free to capture it or just go to YouTube. It's there. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. God bless. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be in touch. Y'all have a good one.
All right.